Hey guys, welcome back to Shelf Life Extension. It's Alexis and I'm totally at my friend Shelby's house right now, sitting on her living room floor. So, she's upstairs sleeping. She works night shift, so I'm gonna try and make this video relatively quick and kind of be somewhat quiet. But otherwise, I didn't get a video up on Monday because it's my finals week. And you might be thinking, wow, wasn't it just your midterms? Yes, because I'm on accelerated courses. They're 8 weeks long, and our midterms were in the 5th week, and our finals are in the 7th week. You'd think they'd be like, oh, 4th week, midterm, finals, 8th week. Nope. Nope. So, I have a paper I need to finish, which I did finish. I just need Jelly to proofread it, and then I have to do a freaking video speech on stupidness. So, yeah. Anyways, I have 2 books that I'm going to be reviewing today, and that is Gameboard of the Gods, Age of X by Richelle Mead, and The Winter Sea by Susanna Kearsley. I finished this just last night. I finished this, probably like Monday? Yeah, but otherwise I have these both to review for you, so I'm going to try and do a quick little synopsis of what's going on, and then give you my opinions. So let's start off with Gameboard of Gods, Age of X. Now, it's very hard to kind of describe this book to you. Let's just say that there was some crazy fall of maybe government, I'm not exactly sure. There was some crazy fall of society, the governments collapsed, there was no longer borders or anything separating country from country or state to state. It just fell, right? Fell into decline. In which case, all of North America came together to form the Republic of United North America. Everything outside of that is called the provinces. You know, pretty much South America are called the provinces. And the main thing you have to understand about the Republic is their take on religion, because it's a very big thing in this storyline. They don't necessarily reject other religions or force other people not to practice certain religions. They just keep it under lock and key. So they make sure that if you are practicing a certain religion, that religion and that church or that place of worship has to be registered and has to follow a certain set of guidelines and rules to make sure that they can continue with their services. So in any case, if they are, going against regulations or violating the code of conduct per se in any given way, then they can be shut down. In which case, the Republic sends out their servitors who go and make sure that, do checkups on them and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that's work. So that's kind of set. This is where Dr. Justin March comes in, because he was a servitor for the Republic and he got exiled because after one such visit to a group of worshippers, he experienced something that he couldn't explain. He experienced something that he could only understand as being a message from a higher power. And it's kind of like a servitor's job to kind of disprove that, or at least not necessarily agree with it. So after he gave his report, he was exiled and sent off to the provinces to pretty much live out his life down there. And that's where May comes in. May is a Praetorian. She carries out their deeds. She's a soldier. She's a super soldier in that she has a little transmitter thing all up in her that gives her endorphins and certain chemicals in her body to make her super awesome. She's quick and she fights really good and she's crazy insane. And so these two come together because May gets a mission to go into the provinces and bring Justin back into the Republic, pretty much giving him his job back, because there's a string of murders that they just don't understand how they're all connected or how they're even getting killed off. The only evidence that they have is a certain video that has a black misty mass thing killing off its victim, and they're like, what the fuck? And so they're just like, well, I guess Justin, we should probably get him back considering what he wrote. He might have a little bit more insight and more intel. So they, I don't want to keep going with this, but it's really hard to understand because it's a really complex storyline. But not giving anything away, when they come back, they find out, Justin kind of already knows this, May doesn't, but that they are elects of the gods and goddesses, which means that a god or goddess of any certain religion was like, I pick you to serve me, I pick you to do my bidding, you know, on the world and stuff, send out my message, bring me followers, in which case that gives them certain powers and certain abilities, but in order for them to fully gain control of those powers, they have to be like, alright, I accept you, I accept the position you have given me, I will be your elect. So along with all this crazy murder stuff and religious things, you find out that the gods are real and the bigger picture is in their hand. Whew. Okay, so that was a very long background. I could have probably just read the back for you, but I feel like that gives you a little bit more information that you can go off of, if you know what I'm saying. So I think the first thing that I loved most about this book was that it has a very interesting world, and it's something that you could really relate to, you know what I mean? Because in the sense that they're real places, it's a real possibility, and these things, they're not like so extreme that you're just like, okay, obviously this isn't really gonna happen, but they're real enough that you're like, okay, I could see that happening, you know? They're kind of already doing that in the world. So it gives a sense of realism and a certain tangibility to it that makes you more connected to the story. I also really like Justin and May as characters. I think May is kind of a badass, though at times I did think she kind of got really annoying. You know how some people, they're just like with, I don't know, Katniss per se, where it's just like they're so badass and they're just so focused on themselves and the mission and the task at hand that they don't realize half the crap that's going over their heads, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, dude. But otherwise, I liked their dynamic. I thought it was pretty funny. Justin's really funny. He's an asshole, but he has his reasons, so you understand it. And then, of course, May is just crazy. So both together, it kind of works really well. What I also really liked is just the fact that it brings in a lot of mythology into the story. I am a sucker for mythology. I love mythology. But I think that Richelle Mead really ties it in really well into here, that it's like, yeah, that even though religion is a huge theme and it's a huge aspect to the storyline, it doesn't just settle on one specific religion or one specific mythology. And I thought that that was really cool. I thought it was pretty cool how legitimately any god or any goddess could be like, hey, what's up? And it all depends on their fellowship and worshippers to give them the kind of strength and stuff. So I just thought that was really cool. The only thing I didn't really like about it, if I can think of anything, is it did get, oops, that's my phone, is that it did get kind of slow at times. I wanted to skip a lot, you know, I was just like, ugh. And then another thing that kind of annoyed me was that once it got to the climax, where crazy stuff's happening, it introduced this weird little subplot in there that completely distracted me, where I was like getting ready for this climax, right? And I'm like, yeah, cool, it's going down. And then suddenly there's that little detail, there's that little thing slipping in there, and then I'm just like, what is this? What is this? And so I'm following that thing rather than the climax, so I kind of missed out on the intensity and the overall awesomeness of the climax, focusing on this little subplot that she snuck in there. Kind of upset me, but otherwise, I'm sure I'll find out more about that in the next book. But otherwise, honestly, I can't really think of anything bad. I've read some, it does have some mixed reviews on Goodreads, and I've read some of the reviews that people gave it a bad rating, and one I just thought was kind of really misguided, because she didn't even give it like more than 10 pages, and there's a lot of setup in the beginning. So I didn't have a problem, honestly, in the beginning, just getting into the story, but if you do feel that it's kind of slow, I would just suggest stick with it a little bit longer, because it gets better as it goes, obviously, with any other book. So yeah, I give this one a 4 out of 5. I fully plan on buying the next one in the series, though I did notice that the next book is like one of those huge hardcover ones. I hate it when they do that, because now I'm gonna have like this tiny thing next to this huge thing. Unless I wait. I could wait. But I don't want to. Okay, moving on, I have The Winter Sea by Susanna Kearsley. Now, a little background on this is a lovely writer named Carrie McClelland is working in Paris on her next novel, but she's just not really getting into it, right? So she decides to go visit her agent who lives up in Scotland. So she's like, okay, hey, just coming over, help me work these things out. And she just so happens to stumble on these ruins of a castle, and automatically she's hit with this like deja vu, but it's so much more intense than deja vu. Like, you know, she's been there, like she could remember certain things about this place, and she just feels this pull towards it, and she's like, what the heck? So she decides that rather than going back to Paris to work on her novel, that she would just continue to work on her novel there in Scotland. And she just so happens to find a cottage at a house up across the way, pretty much, like really close, so she could see the castle outside of her window. So she starts writing her book, and it's so intense, and it's so much, and she's writing so much and so quickly that she's like, I've never done this before, this is kind of weird. And she finds out that as she's writing her book, certain details are coming in that she thinks are of her own creation, but they're actually true facts, as she later on finds out while researching. So she's like, what the heck is going on? I thought I was creating this on myself, but I don't think I am. It must be kind of like why I'm drawn to this castle place. So as she continues to write her story, she starts to figure out more about her past and how she's connected to the story and just what exactly that castle means to her and the story that she's writing. So I don't want to give any more. I'm not exactly sure what else I could really give you. So the thing I love most about this book is how it has its own historical fiction book along inside it from what she is writing. So you get to read what she's writing, but then you also get her in present time figuring out what is going on and what the connections are and how exactly she knows this stuff. I think what was really cool is, like, when I was reading this, it really gave me that kind of Pride and Prejudice-y feel. It was just like, you know, it's just like beautiful love story set in a period, set in a, you know, like a medieval period, and it's really cute. Okay, yeah, let's get off topic. Let's get back. But yeah, the romance in this thing, there's a couple romances. They're kind of awesome. One in her story and then one in her own story, if you get what I'm saying there. But it's really cool to see how they reflect on each other in the fact that they're kind of the same romances with kind of the same people. Another thing that I really loved about this book is her writing. I think Susanna Kearsley has a very cool writing style. It's because I think this is kind of what a lot of writers struggle with, and why I have such a problem with a lot of adult categorized, you know, fiction, is that they don't know how to, because there's certain writers who really mature their writing, like Anne Rice. Anne Rice has a crazy style where it's so mature and almost dated, and it's really wordy and it's really intense. Like, an example would be like The Wolf Gift, which I got, but I haven't finished because because it's a 23-year-old, but he's talking like a centuries-old vampire. If you get what I'm saying, I'm just like, this isn't relatable. It's kind of hard to get into and to understand. And then there's some writers who kind of dumb down the writing. I don't really want to say that, but they make it so that it's really easy to read, in the sense that the characters, although they are older, you know, middle-aged, they have a really immature way of talking. And a book kind of like that would be like Mark of the Demon, you know, so like sometimes you're just like, okay, hey, you're like 35, stop talking like a 16-year-old. But what I love most about Susanna Kearsley is she finds that middle ground where it's really mature and it's really nice, it flows really easily, and it works really well. I really love it. I caught on really quick, and it was just a really nice, refreshing change out of a lot of what I read. Only thing that I didn't really like about it, which I know a lot of people probably won't like about, is how it gets sometimes really wordy and really facty. So like in her historical fiction parts where she's writing out the story and you're learning about this story that she's writing, is like there's so much information and it's so historically factual. There's so many numbers and dates and names and nuances that you're just kind of like, ugh, kind of making me fall out of love with it real quick. But if you just push through that, it gets really good. What else would I not like about this book? Another kind of thing that I didn't really like, which a lot of people won't have a problem with, is just one of the romance between the author herself and the man that she meets. In hindsight, there's a certain aspect to it that you kind of understand how it unfolds, but I kind of felt like it escalated really quickly. There wasn't a lot of progression into it. It just kind of like was like, oh hey, and then yeah, I don't know. That's just me though. But otherwise, I still gave this a 4 out of 5. I still really loved it, and I fully plan on buying like more of her books because I absolutely love her writing style. And just look at this cover. Oh, it's so pretty. So yeah, I highly suggest everybody check out those books. I personally really like them, and I would love to find out other people's opinions on them if you've already read them or if you're looking into reading them and things of that nature. Or if you read any other books by those authors that maybe I haven't read, that would be nice to know. Otherwise, thanks for watching, thanks for keeping up with me. I hope to get more videos out next week after finals. And yeah, so you know, rate, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, things, information in the down bar. I will be having blog posts of both these books up at some point. They might come up after this video, but, or not, you know, maybe. Otherwise, again, yeah, thanks for watching, and I will check you guys out next week. Alright, bye!